Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out, International Diamond Center. Comfort Tip Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Today's show, we'll have Brent Beaird, a college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. And then we will have JC, Win with JC. Him and Zach will give you all a bunch of winners for the week. If you missed it last night, Blue Jays take the 3-2 lead. They can close it out Friday night up there at the Rogers Center up in Toronto. And we got a lot going on. Let's go to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. Doing well. Happy pre-Halloween, shall we say, that's coming up. And the weather has changed. We're excited about Florida, Georgia, and Georgia and Florida, whoever's listening, on Saturday. The weather here should be absolutely ideal. It's supposed to be a little chilly Saturday morning, but the temperature for the game is going to be really just about perfect. So the weather's turned for the better, and we were looking forward to it.
Brandon says on Facebook Live, big win for Gator Golf yesterday. Absolutely it was. It was a phenomenal match, and Parker Bell, boy, was clutch down the stretch. Good way to end the fall season for the Gator golf team. They have a chance to win it all come spring. All right, Brent, let's jump right into it. This is the most coaches that have been fired in pre-November, pretty much in the history of college football.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, what we're talking about is there's been talk, and I give the Athletic credit for this. We've had 10 coaches fired so far. The closest that we've come to that was 2022. We had 7. 2021 we had 6. I mean, when you've got 10, and it's not even November yet, Shane, I mean, there's no telling how many we're going to have. So that's certainly a different trend than what we're doing. And if you're looking for buyout numbers, Brian Kelly, formerly at LSU, is going to get $53 million, but Jimbo Fisher, when he was at A&M, his buyout was $77 million. So that's just staggering numbers, frankly. But that gives folks a little bit of an idea about where we are as far as coaching changes much earlier than normal.
Brent, speaking of Jimbo Fisher, I'm hearing a lot from my FSU people, and I don't know if you've heard this or not. Any chance he's their coach next year?
Look, I've heard the same thing about the possibility. Now, what I have heard is that if people remember this, he actually was not fired there. He resigned himself, and still has good relations with the people who were there. And he obviously is looking for a job. He wants to get back in. I mean, even though he got $77 million from them. And look, that would be interesting how that would be done if that happened. So, but you hear a little bit about that being a possibility, then you hear that it won't be. So that will be something interesting to look at over the next few weeks.
All right, we got to touch it. We'll get to the LSU, the team. They're off this week, but man, it's a mess there, Brent. I mean, you've been covering college football a long time.
Yes.
Has the governor ever gotten involved in anything?
What Shane is talking about is the governor of Louisiana is having. I mean, he basically had a press conference this week and was going to be talking about political issues. But as you know, in the state of Louisiana, that can change pretty quick, and it did. So he basically started talking about the football team and his involvement with the football team, and who would not be involved in the coaching search, which would be the AD. So a lot of people would say who are used to sports in the state of Louisiana, yes, it's unusual, but not for the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, and I saw the press conference on different things on Twitter, and with AI today, you never know if it's true or
It's
not, but
true.
it seemed
True.
like it was true. It reminded me of like a movie almost, like some
Yes.
crazy college team getting rid of their coach, and then the political people take over and have a press conference. But what's crazy is the guy came out and said that their athletic director is going to have nothing to do with the next hire.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's. How in the world can you come out and say that? Frankly, but I mean, at the same time, look, the AD doesn't have a great track record at this point, but I'm not sure I would have said that if I was a governor, but that's the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, crazy. Brent, next week we get the first look at the playoff polls.
Yes. Yeah, we will next Tuesday, depending on what time they have the show. We will see the first poll from ESPN, so folks can kind of get used to that and ready for that. Now, again, will it be very similar to the AP? Probably to some degree, but if you haven't been paying attention, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia are your top five. So we will see if that changes. Several of those teams are actually off. A&M and Alabama are off this week, so some of it won't change. But as Shane said, the playoff polls start next week because that will be November.
Yeah, for sure. There was something on here. Neil on YouTube brought to you by Quavo says WRUF would just finally get rid of Steve for the Extra Point show. No, Steve's still at WRUF. He had something going on yesterday. I know that Pat is no longer on the show. It's Jeff and Zach Albaverdi in the afternoon now. Real quick, Brent, Brian on Facebook Live brought to you by Metal Brent, there's a national media bias that LSU's a better job than Florida, and they think Lane Kiffin will take the job because of this. Do you agree with that logic? This seems to ignore Lane Kiffin's association with Florida, and also I think Kiffin knows his style fits with Florida. What are your thoughts on the national media bias?
Look, I think he's got as good a chance to go to Florida as he does anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people, a lot of coaches really don't want to get involved. Look, I'm not being critical here. I'm just being honest. Louisiana is a very political state, and if you're going to go coach there, you've got to be aware of that. And basically, just what Shane was talking about over the last few minutes, you've got a lot of people. You've got too many cooks in the kitchen who are involved with this. And when LSU opens up, look, LSU's a great job. Florida's a great job too. But the reality is, no, I don't agree that once LSU opens, everybody else pales in comparison. I don't think that's true. I think there's a good chance he goes to Florida as he would LSU.
Yeah, I would say that the jobs are comparable. I'd say academically, Florida's way above LSU, but from the sports programs across the board, I think both schools are very comparable. I will say this: their fans are a little nuttier than our fan base, but I will say their fan base travels better than any fan base in America.
Yeah.
But I do not
that's
think
the
Lane
point.
Kiffin is in play at LSU.
Yeah.
The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the Mango Martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. All right, Brent, let's go around the league. Alabama, boy, they had a rough stretch, found a way to come from behind to defeat Carolina. They get a bye week before they play the coachless LSU
Yeah,
Tigers.
yeah. That will be in Tuscaloosa, by the way. That was a difficult win, but Alabama was able to do it. Ty Simpson it really was kind of off during that game. He was also somewhat hurt. That was an issue too. And again, if people didn't see the game, South Carolina goes ahead by 8 points, and that is significant because they go up by 8. They consider going for 2 to make it 9, but they did not. They just went up by 8, and then Alabama was able to score the last 2 touchdowns of the game, and the last touchdown came after a pivotal fumble by South Carolina. So Simpson did well on those last 2 drives, so that made a difference. And this Alabama team is growing up too. And I tell you what, Shane, and you understand this just about better than anybody I know. When you've got a quarterback that still is able to distribute the ball, it makes a humongous difference. And that Bama's running game is not much this year, so the passing game takes on even more significance.
Yeah, Clayton says or states on Facebook Live that Ole Miss will want to know by the end of the season if Lane is staying as well, so they can have a coach in place when he leaves. Yeah, I mentioned, I think it was yesterday or the day before on the program. I think Lane will tell us where he's going after the Egg Bowl. It only makes sense to me. I think you
Sure.
can't leave multiple schools in limbo. I think a deal will be in place, if not before then, but I think I put myself as the coach, Brent. When would be the correct time to play your team?
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of the regular season,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like they're going to be in the playoffs, and you just tell your team, look, guess what, guys? I'm staying at Ole Miss. Let's go win a national title. Hey,
Yeah.
guys, I got an opportunity to go to like a dream job of mine. I'm going to school X, maybe it's Florida, but I'm here to win a national title before I leave. And you know what? I may bring some of y'all with me if I go to another school. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Really.
that's the difference
Yeah.
in
It
today's
is.
world.
Yes. No question.
So, all right, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Brent, do you think there's any chance of Petrino getting that job for next year? And poor Mississippi State, they just find ways to lose games.
Well, they do. There's no doubt about that. If look, Petrino is a good coach, but they've got to start winning some games, and they really need to start winning against Mississippi State. But you can also say the same thing about Mississippi State. I mean, the reality is, Shane, State has had opportunities to beat some good SEC teams and just have not been able to do that at this point. So now the other reality is they both are basically in the same predicament at this point. So this is probably a good game for both of them. This is a 3 p.m. 4 p.m. kickoff on the SEC network. So again, it's just going to come down to the execution of where these teams are. So State, I think, is pretty close. The problem with Arkansas is they're struggling so much on defense, and they did also in the Auburn loss.
Scott on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, is Cormani McClain eligible to play this week, and what happened to Trayon Webb that's causing him to be out so long? Trayon had like a hamstring surgery back in the day, back early in the season, and I guess he's just gonna maybe take a red shirt. Cormani, I believe, I don't think he was on the injury report. I think he should play this week. And then people are asking me, why is Missouri fans not complaining about the possibility of Drink leaving? Because they understand. Look, here's the difference. And I tried to explain this to my Ole Miss buddies again the other day. Let's take Lane. Let's say Lane is the coach at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Florida, the Ole Miss, and the LSU job open. Is Ole Miss even in the picture? No. The reason Ole Miss is what they are today is because of Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, yeah.
So there. Corey wants to know, is Oxford and surrounding areas a better place to live than Gainesville? I would say yes. Auburn hosts Kentucky. Brent, do you think both these coaches will be fired at the end of the season?
It we've had this discussion this week and have asked the same question. The thing that I'm getting is it's still wait and see. Now, if Auburn ends up 6-6, they may not have a choice, and they may decide to go ahead and do something about it. But still, the problem here is, Shane, with all these other jobs that are coming open. We said a few minutes ago to talk about we're in double-digit job openings right now. Some of these schools may end up biting the bullet, and these two schools that we're talking about here could be it. Go with the coach for another year, and knowing that there won't be as many job openings in the SEC next year as they probably will be this year. So, look, that's a tough call, is it not? And now Auburn switched quarterbacks, maybe. They've gone from Jackson Arnold to Ashton Daniels, and he played pretty well against Arkansas. Kentucky, I mean, they scored 30-something points against Tennessee and still lose the game. So, I would have probably said yes, they're both making moves 2 or 3 weeks ago. But with some of these, shall we say, upper echelon jobs in the SEC coming open, I'm just wondering, could that delay both those schools maybe getting a coach this year?
Yeah, for sure. Bomb My Carpet says on YouTube, Shane, North Mississippi is a wasteland. It's not, dude. It's not. There's some areas. It's a good place to live. I grew up there. Brent, the Florida Gators. It's been a while since we beat the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, people, and maybe it was before my time, Brent, but you know, people always talk about anything can happen in rivalry games. I can't think of one game since I became a Gator that it was like somebody won that wasn't supposed to win the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong there. I'd have to really break it down, but I can't remember that. What do you see in this game?
Look, it's been a long time. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Florida's won just once in the previous 8 meetings in 2020. And usually, this is one of those rivalries, kind of like Alabama, Tennessee. The best team usually wins. You don't have a lot of upsets. Now, I'm just wondering with could Florida have some surprises? They certainly could in the game. I know they've got some guys out like Vernell Brown that's going to hurt them. Also, now Georgia's pretty healthy. If folks are wondering that, the injury reports came out, and their injury report is a lot shorter than the previous weeks. Now Kobe Young is out, so that may hurt them a little bit. But Georgia's been their defense is slowly improving. They've worked on tackling this week. That's been a big deal for them. Third down defense also. So I mean, your point's a good one, Shane. Usually the favorite wins this game.
Yeah, I mean, I always hear people say, you know, in a rivalry game, anything can happen, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. I just don't remember anything out of the ordinary happening in this game since I've been
Yeah,
following it. And maybe
I
I'm
agree.
missing something. But speaking of the Florida Georgia game, make sure you get there early, folks, if you're going to the game. There's a lot of construction going on because of the
Yes.
at the stadium there. It's not going to be, it's always a nightmare. I think it's going to be even more of a nightmare
Yeah.
this week. Missouri is off this week. They play A&M next week, which will be an interesting game for both.
It will
Well,
be.
mostly for A&M, obviously.
Yeah.
7 o'clock game, Ole Miss. Lane's trying to get people to show up for the game. They host South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a South Carolina team that just lost to Alabama, and they are struggling in a lot of ways. Look, I mean, they're a decent football team. They're a middle of the pack SEC team. They thought they would be better this year. That is just not happening. Alabama scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to be able to win the game. So, I mean, this is a game Ole Miss should win, particularly if they are if the players are focused in order to do that. Now, you mentioned Missouri is off this week. One thing I did want to say here, Bo Pribula, the Missouri quarterback, if people haven't heard this, had an ankle injury last week, and he is out for a while. I don't know if he's going to be for the year or not, but Matt Zollers, I don't know if you saw this much, Shane, but
he can throw it.
He can he?
Yeah.
Just a freshman, came in, and look, Missouri ended up on what? Shane, wouldn't it lie between the goal line and the 1 yard line to end the game? So they had a real chance to possibly win the game. It just didn't come through.
Yeah. Vandy's at Texas. This is another game that's huge for both of these teams, especially Vanderbilt. They're still in the hunt. Texas is still in the hunt. Believe it or not, they only have one loss in the conference. What do you think about this game, Brent?
Look, this is probably the game of the weekend, really, and it's a noon game, which is a little bit unusual, but that's what's happened. But now the thing to watch for here is how is Arch Manning doing? He had a bit of a concussion last week in their win, so not real sure. Haven't heard that he's out yet. I think it's a day-to-day type thing. The thing with Texas in the game last week, they had 7 sacks and 9 tackles for loss, and their rush defense in the second half, minus 31 yards on 18 carries. So their defense is probably better than people give it credit for. But look, this is a Vanderbilt team that can win and win in many different ways. So, Shane, would it surprise you at all? Vandy actually won this game and end up 8-1, not end up, but go to 8-1 and 4-1 in the conference.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so a lot of people chimed in 2014 is when Treon Harris was the quarterback and threw 3 passes the entire game. And Kelvin Taylor, and I think there was one other running back that ran for 1,000,000 yards. I think it was Matt Jones. So that's the Florida Georgia game that I guess was an upset. That's the only one. And I've been here like 30-something years. So we will see. We will see what happens. Brent, let's what else, Cam? I'm trying to look here at the notes. What else we got here? What do you make of the Texas Sark? I'm sure you saw the post coming out last week. I don't think Sark's going anywhere. Do you?
No, not really. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of talk about him doing different things, but I mean, certainly right now, and as a matter of fact, Stark's agents, including Jimmy Sexton, came out and said that any reports about him going to the NFL are false and wildly inaccurate. So he will focus on coaching the Texas team. I mean, he may be a little frustrated with that for one reason or another, but I mean, they've got a shot at making the playoffs. I mean, this is a good football team. Arch has kind of been up and down. But he is getting better as the season goes along. I mean, Shane, I'm with you. At this point, I don't see him going anywhere except staying at Texas.
Exactly. Clint says on YouTube, brought to you by Chloe, I saw a quick clip of Lane responding to Brent Venables' comments about OU having the better team. Lane's response was pure gold. We need that sweat. I'm telling you, if people haven't seen that, they need to go to watch it. It reminded me so much of Coach Spurrier back in the day, a guy that does not forget scores, does not forget yardages, does not forget anything from years ago. It was great. Brent, give us some nuggets before we get you out of here.
Yeah, let me throw a couple of ACC notes in here. Halloween night, North Carolina is at Syracuse. FSU hosts Wake Forest in an important game for them. Tommy Castellanos, his health has not been real. He's kind of been day to day, frankly, and they need a win in the worst way. Miami, actually, I believe, Shane, this is their first game outside the state of Florida. They go to SMU, so that will be interesting to see where that one goes. SMU is pretty good too. So just wanted to throw those two in there to make folks aware of what's going on. We do have several teams that won't be playing this weekend in the SEC, but we do have some good games too. And again, A&M is off. A&M 8-0 for the first time since 1992. Shane, how about that?
Yep, they're a very good football team, no question. Brent, we'll see you in the press box, and enjoy the game, my man.
You too, brother. Thanks much.
It's Brent Beaird, a college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Gallo Car Wash is owned by a UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. We're going to take a quick time out. Come back. We'll turn this thing over to JC and Zach. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers. Setbacks. Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Coach, you know, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger, and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
All right, good morning, everybody. Here we go. 30 minutes of Win with JC. It's time to find the winners of this week's board in college and professional football. If you want to talk World Series, we'll do that as well. You're always welcome to contribute. I'll try to get to your picks for this week on YouTube. Zach Rothrock, my producer, will also have the comments from Facebook Live for you, so you can come in through there. We've got a lot of things to talk about in very little time, so let's get started with this week. Now, before we go into this week, and I am going to touch pretty heavily on the Florida-Georgia game this weekend. This is the cocktail party that they don't want you to say cocktail party. This is where you can scream Gator bait, where they don't want you to say Gator bait. The game's not in Gainesville. You can say it in Jacksonville. But the Florida-Georgia game is one of the most memorable times of my college football watching life. Growing up in Gainesville, going to the old Erector set, Florida-Georgia was a massive weekend. Of course, it's also the weekend of my birthday, so it's a special time here in late October. And, you know, I heard Shane earlier on PodUp with Matthews in the morning talk about he doesn't recall many times when the unexpected happened. And he's right for the most part. But growing up in the 70s and 80s here, a lot of unexpected things happened. Many times Florida was favored in that game, and Georgia broke Florida's heart because they were looking for their first SEC championship. Didn't happen. Georgia would crush us. Herschel Walker then showed up. We all know what happened there. But then came Steve Spurrier in 1990 time frame. And from that period on, Florida turned the tables. There was a time in the 90s that the unexpected did happen. And that was when Jim Donnan, I think it was 97 or 98, the Georgia Bulldogs, I'm pretty sure were unranked, upset the Florida Gators with Jim Donnan. And that was toward the end of the Spurrier tenure as we were going forward into the next century, next decade, basically. So anyhow, we'll get to Florida, Georgia, but I want to start with last week. If you were watching last week in college football, we had some cash bets and we had some trash bets. I'll start with the cash bets. We hit the Eagles -7.5. We hit the Chargers -3 in the NFL. We lost the 49ers and Bengals. In college football, we had North Texas, who basically was on the number for much of the second half of that game and pulled away -25.5. We had the Auburn, Arkansas over 56.5. We had Vanderbilt. Let's go Commodores. There's the hat right there. -2.5. Tennessee -9.5. They never lose in Lexington. We had Rutgers -2.5. We had Northwestern +7.5. All of those cashed. The trash, Oklahoma dominated at home to Ole Miss. LSU absolutely dominated in the second half. Absolutely dominated in the second half after leading 18-14. We had them +2.5. They got beat by 100. Iowa State at home also losing in the second half to BYU. The Cougars are live for the Big 12 championship along with Cincinnati. And then Michigan, backdoored by Michigan State. Michigan was laying 13.5. Michigan State scores with 7 seconds left. So we go 8-6. We should have gone 9-5 without that backdoor in East Lansing between the trash team, Michigan State and Michigan. So we've got some games coming up, Zach, this weekend. I'll touch on them with you, but I just wanted to mention that if you are looking for teams that you can trust, meaning teams that are really good against the spread, variance, divergence, whatever you want to call it, there is a lot happening this weekend, and I'm going to run through a couple of these real quick. Ohio State is 6-1 against the spread, laying 21 against Penn State, who is 1-6 against the spread. Somehow I'll be at that game. Louisville, 6-1 against the spread, laying 10.5 to Virginia Tech on the road, who is 3-5 against the spread. Georgia Tech, 6-2 against the spread, -5.5 at North Carolina State, 3-5 against the spread. My Vanderbilt Commodores, 6-2 against the spread, getting 2.5. You could probably get 3. depending on where you shop, if you're not in Florida, because you only have one store to shop in Florida, and boy, do they crush you on the pricing. But plus 2.5 at Hard Rock, at Texas, who was 2-6 against the spread. Boise State 6-1-1 against the spread, minus 17.5. Fresno State is 3-5. Texas Tech 6-2, -7 at K-State, 4-4 against the spread. Pittsburgh 6-2 against the spread at Stanford, 2-6. Miami 5-2 against the spread, laying 12.5 at SMU, and Dallas 2-6 against the spread, and 3 more. Mississippi State, the team that finds ways to lose games, finds ways to win you money. 7-1 against the spread. The Bulldogs 7-1, plus 4.5 at Arkansas, 3-5 against the spread. North Texas, the Mean Green, we previously mentioned them, 6-2 against the spread, minus 6.5 at Navy. They're playing at home against Navy, rather, 2-5 against the spread. And also I saw San Diego State playing at Wyoming at home in San Diego, 6-1 against the spread, laying 10.5. Wyoming, however, is 5-3 against the spread. What do you see on the board this week, Zach, that sticks out? And then I'm going to go into some games that I really like this weekend.
Yeah, well, me personally, the biggest thing that I've been betting on this year that has kind of been my bread and butter that I'm going to keep going to until they put that number up higher is the over in whatever game the Dallas Cowboys are playing in. That's not going to come until Monday Night Football. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals. The number's 54.5. The Cowboys, yeah, and the number's 54, or just 54, honestly, not a half. Until that number gets to a 6, until a 6 is that first number, I'm going to keep hitting it because the Cowboys give up or score 40 every single week. Their defense can't stop anyone, and inversely, their offense is just putting up just ridiculous numbers every single week. I think even this Cardinals offense will be able to move the ball, will be able to score on them, and so I see the over 54 hitting on Monday Night Football.
Is Murray in or out? Do you know about Murray?
I mean, honestly, I think that he's leaning towards playing, but honestly, it doesn't make me waver. Their passing offense has been more efficient with Jacoby Brissett, particularly tight end Trey McBride has been getting way more work in. So, okay. I mean, I don't hate Kyler Murray, but to me that doesn't really matter as far as this particular wager goes.
We got Wally Gator chiming in. Yes, in 1997, the Gators were favored by 20, lost by 20. Thank you, Wally Gator. That's exactly what happened. I was at that game. I have neighbors from Georgia that were at that game that just absolutely wore me out for the next 12 months. Yes, Kanye Ron backdoored. And then we also have Spurs only lost to Georgia in 1997. Bull Gator, 49-85. You know, Shane, sometimes he just forgets things. He took a lot of hits in the NFL. Brian
That's what
Dawkins,
he claims. Yeah, he claims CTE.
You know, God bless the man, though. He's still upright. So, okay. So we're going to get to Tyler O. Go Gators wants to know about Tennessee, Oklahoma. We're going to get to that here briefly. South Carolina, Mississippi, Texas Tech. We're going to get to all these games. We've got some really good ones for you here, Tyler. Vandy, the game there, the total, he's looking at 44.5. Man, I tell you, here's Gator Man, JC Oklahoma money line. The 3 teams Tennessee beat in the SEC are combined 0-13. Very good number there.
That's a good
Gator
stuff.
Man.
That's interesting.
That's some good stuff. I looked at how Tennessee got right against Kentucky, and I know all games are different. I get it. And Tennessee owns Lexington. That is their second home field. It's kind of like Alabama's second home field is Atlanta. But Oklahoma material just doesn't look right. We're going to dig into some of these games right now, and I am going to go heavy into the Florida-Georgia game this weekend. So, Zach, let's go to Texas and Vandy.
Yeah, this is the fourth. Yeah,
this is the 4th straight ranked team for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vandy is plus 125. That means for $10, you will win $12.50 if they make the playoffs with a win at Texas. The story with Texas, of course, surrounds their quarterback, Arch Manning. He is in concussion protocol. Matthew Caldwell is a senior transfer. He was very good last week in a very limited moment against Mississippi State, throwing the game-winning touchdown on an over-the-shoulder fade into the corner of the end zone. It was phenomenal. Great catch by the receiver, but a very impressive throw. So that is a big deal. But I like Texas with Matthew Caldwell. They're at home. They are laying 2.5. You can go to Hard Rock, and if you want 3.5 of Vandy, you got to lay juice. You would lay 15 cents there. The Hard Rock really jacks you on these prices, and they can do it because they're the only shop in the state. But I like Vandy. I like Vandy in spite of all these things I've been talking about Texas. Vandy is coming off a win. Texas is coming off a win over a ranked team and playing another ranked team. 61-82 straight up, 61-79 against the spread, 43%. That would work against Vandy in this game. I'm going against these trends. I'm sticking with Diego. I think Diego has magic behind him. I don't like the way Texas has been playing this year. I think Mississippi State clearly had their asses handed to them, and they gave it back to Mississippi State, their ass. So I'm going to take Vanderbilt plus 2.5. And if I can get 3 or 3.5 at BetMGM when I'm in Ohio tomorrow, I'm going to definitely take that extra point. What do you like on Vandy, Texas?
So honestly, all week I was like, okay, JC's going to like Vanderbilt over Texas. And then you started off with your speech here, and I thought you were going to go the other way. I thought you were leading me towards Texas, but then you brought it back to where I thought you were going. And I'm with you. I don't see how you can trust Texas. They've been very one of the Jekyll and Hyde type of teams, very up and down. Their offensive line, the offensive line that showed up at Florida and got dismantled does exist, and they can show up again. I don't know what happened with their game versus Oklahoma and how that team showed up, but Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team, they appear like they're one of those teams that's just on a run, and they're destined to at least make the playoffs. I don't know about further from that. But if they're going to make it there, they're going to have to win games like this. And I'm with you. I like the Commodores.
They've got magic behind them. Gabe 5946 says the Vandy quarterback he thought was out. No, that would be the Texas quarterback.
Yeah.
I have heard nothing about Diego Pavia, but I have heard, and that would dramatically probably take the game off the board if he was out. So that's certainly not the case. It's Arch Manning who's in concussion protocol, but as I said, Matthew Caldwell is going to be the starter if Manning can't go. Let's go to another one real quick. This is a game I love. Cincinnati in the Big 12 looking to try to get into the playoffs, unbeaten in conference, getting 10.5 at Utah. This is a huge number. Cincinnati, the Bearcats under Scott Satterfield, averaging 41 points per game, 76% of the handle. That means money bet at DraftKings is on Cincinnati. Cincinnati is 2-0 as a road dog against the spread this year. They are getting 10.5. It's 9.5, of course, on Hard Rock. They hate giving you the key number. That's where they try to hammer you. You only have to lay 5 cents. If you take the 9.5, you have to lay 20 cents. If you take the 10.5, that means minus 120. It's horrible. That's terrible pricing. But Cincinnati is 6-2 against the spread, but so is Utah, 6-2 against the spread. I'm taking Cincinnati plus the points, and I'll get that 10.5 one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I always like a big favorite. I don't like being a big favorite.
You don't like that
road.
one?
But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a huge feel in this game, so I just gotta take your word for it on that one. So, but yeah, 9.5 points is a lot. I always like getting points for sure.
Staying in the Big Ten, this is crazy when I say Southern Cal and Nebraska in the Big Ten. Southern Cal minus 6.5, ranked number 23 in the country. Ranked teams coming off double-digit losses. Remember, Southern Cal lost at Notre Dame by 10, or I think it was 10, 51, 28, and 6 against the spread. That's 65% in the next game since 2021. Nebraska 7, 16, and 3. They are only 30% against the spread at home in the last 26 games. Southern Cal's laying 6.5. I have a hard time laying that many points on the road, but Lincoln is not the Tom Osborne Lincoln home field that it used to be. Southern Cal has probably more team speed than Nebraska. Nebraska won by 7 last week at home against Northwestern, did not cover by 0.5 point unless you bought it down. I'm going to take Southern Cal with a little bit of hesitation, laying the 6.5, just going off those numbers. And again, Nebraska 2-5-1 against the spread.
Yeah, I don't like laying points on the road, but I don't trust anything about this Nebraska team. Honestly, I think that I just have a personal bias against this Dylan Raiola guy because he does this Patrick Mahomes impersonation, and I think it's ridiculous, and I see him fail. It seems like he only impersonates the bad parts of him, though. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the USC side on this one as well. I would probably also potentially take the over 58.5.
Okay. Another game I'm loving here is Duke plus 3.5. Clemson 0-4 at home against the spread. Duke 2-1 against the spread on the road. Darian Mentz is just a better quarterback than Cade Klubnik. Klubnik missed the last game. He's questionable for this week. Clemson can't win at home, it seems like, this weekend. Duke plus 3.5. Hard Rock has them plus 2.5 coming off the bye, of course. Oklahoma, Tennessee. This is a game a lot of folks wanted to talk about as we went into the show this morning here on Win with JC. JC, Oklahoma. This is Gator Man. I already talked about Oklahoma on the money line. And we will get to the World Series shooter McGavin here momentarily. But Oklahoma and Tennessee, minus 2.5 the Vols. Since 2017, two ranked teams, home teams, 184 and 124 against the spread. When two ranked teams are playing, the home team is 184 and 124 against the spread. That's 60%. The higher ranked home team is 91 and 55 and 4 against the spread. That's 62%. And a single digit favorite, which Oklahoma or Tennessee is here, the Vols are 56, or rather the single digit favorites are 56, 29 and 3. That's 66% against the spread. So all of these trends favor the home team. Tennessee is laying 2.5 again, minus 3.5 if you want to get even money or slightly better. But minus 2.5, and you're laying a little juice, believe it or not. It's madness on some of this pricing. But at any rate, if you like Tennessee, that's what you got to do is hope for them to win by more than a field goal. I like Tennessee in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one as well, actually. I just don't think that John McTeer has been right since the hand injury. His passing yards per game have been almost cut in half since then. And he's playing through it. He's a tough kid. I mean, you got to admire that and all this and that, but it's just not.
It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. He just frankly cannot throw the ball with the same velocity as he could before. And it's just not working out. And you got to go with Tennessee with that being the case.
I mean, I was surprised at the way Mississippi handled them last week. I just saw a team that just looked so much more aggressive in Mississippi. You know, we talk about all the distractions with the coach, Lane Kiffin. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Truly, nobody knows what he's going to do unless he's told them. Shannon and I debated last show on Matthews in the Morning whether or not it was the right time to tell his team what his plans were after the Egg Bowl. And at first I pushed back on that, but now that I think about it, I think Shane is right. I think that is when the team will know what he's doing, whether they are a playoff team or not. And I see every reason to believe with the rest of their schedule that Mississippi is absolutely a playoff team, regardless of their SEC, because I think right now the two undefeated teams in the conference are lined up to play in Atlanta. It doesn't mean that'll happen. There's still plenty of games left. So going back, let's recap real quick. I've got Vandy plus 2.5. I've got Southern Cal minus 6.5. Those damn Trojans, I'm telling you, they screwed me at Notre Dame. They better not screw me at Nebraska. Cincinnati is probably my favorite pick at Utah on the road. I just believe in Cincinnati. They're getting 10.5. I love that number. I've got Duke plus 3.5. I've got Tennessee minus 2.5. And those are the plays. Let's hit the NFL real quick, and then we'll talk Florida, Georgia. Quickly now on the NFL, Zach. This is amazing to me. The betting splits, meaning handle is the number of bets. Betting, obviously, handle is the amount of money on the bets. Bets received are the number of bets, of course. Listen to these betting splits. Baltimore, 84% of the handle, 70% of the bets. San Francisco, 91% of the handle. San Francisco, 82% of the bets are at New York. Baltimore's at Miami. New England at home against Atlanta. This is one of your games. New England, 89% of the handle, 84% of the bets. Green Bay, 84-64. Indianapolis, 94% of the handle, 83% of the bets. They're laying 3 at Pittsburgh. Love that. Detroit, 94% of the bets, 80% of the handle, 83%. Minus 3 at minus 8.5 at Minnesota. The Chargers are 85-87. They're at Tennessee. Jacksonville is 76-82, minus 3 in Vegas. The Rams 86-79, laying 2 touchdowns against the Saints at home. And Seattle is 88-77. They're at Washington, laying 3. They're coming off a bye. Those are big, big bets and big dollars on all of those favorites. It's a favorite weekend in the NFL. What do you have?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely don't love that. It feels like typically if 80% of the money is on one side of the game, like if this happened 5 times, 3 of those are going to probably go the other way. So I don't like that. But having said that, just without even looking at that data, I still like New England minus 5.5 versus Atlanta. They're at home. Their offense has been improving every week. Their defense is generating a ton of sacks. The Atlanta offense has been really
spotty.
They couldn't generate points against the Dolphins and the Panthers. I mean, you got to be incredibly concerned with that. Now they're leaving their dome environment. They're going up to New England where things are starting to get kind of cold. So yeah, I definitely don't mind laying 5.5 there.
Okay. Anything else you like?
Yeah, and then I know we tried to pick on Houston last week, man. I thought that we were good on that with San Francisco, but I kind of feel like that was a story more about San Francisco and their struggles. And Houston has been improving. C.J. Stroud has been playing better. But if you look at all the games they've played lately, they've been getting to catch a lot of teams when they're at their lowest. They got the Ravens at their absolute lowest. And so I just kind of feel like it's a lot of fool's gold with them at the moment. And so they're getting Denver. Denver is actually catching 1.5 at Houston. And whereas you look at Denver, they get up and they play every week. They had the big comeback against the Giants, which I know that means they laid down for 3 quarters to make that comeback happen, but they beat the Eagles. They've had a lot of good games. Bo Nix is another guy that like Drake May. He appears to be improving every week, and just like the Patriots, their defense is also really good at generating pressures and DB coverage with Patrick Surtain. So I definitely like them plus 1.5 at Houston.
All right, I like those picks. I'll definitely tell you on those. Listen, we have 30 minutes here on the show, and we sure would like support from folks. We're going to touch on Florida, Georgia here in a minute. But if you'd like to support this program on the tail end of Matthews in the Morning, PodUp with Matthews in the Morning on Thursdays, the number to call is 352-284-3733. That's our producer, our executive producer, Freddie Wiebe. 352-284-3733. We can help you get your name and number out there on this script as we go through the best bets on the board every Thursday through football season and through basketball season. Give them a call. Finally, we're going to get to Florida, Georgia. This is the game that most people here are going to. Listen, I have been to so many of these damn games. I've been heartbroken. I've been elated. It's best when both teams are playing for something. The Gators are playing for the rest of their season to try to come out of this with Billy Gonzalez with some dignity, let's say. They're 3-4. The coach has been dismissed, thank God. Here's Georgia. They're playing for a playoff spot. They're playing for all the marbles. They're trying to win an SEC and then advance from there. In this game, Georgia is only a 7.5-point favorite. I say only because typically you would look at these records and you'd look at these two teams and you'd say, man, Georgia's got to be a double-digit favorite. There's a reason why it's 7.5. That reason is because of Florida's health. Right now, they're getting healthier. Right now, they have an unexplained or a rather undetermined coach bringing them into a game where who knows what they're going to do. There might be a lot of the same things that we've seen all year, but there also might be some new wrinkles in this game. They may spread it out. They may get the wide receivers very involved in this game. Let's hope they do. They may get Jaden Ball involved in this game. Let's hope he is. Let's see if the defense can keep Georgia's running attack down, and let's force that quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, to beat them. Getting 7.5 or getting 6.5 on the Hard Rock is your choice if you want to take the Gators on the spread. The betting splits are overwhelmingly on Georgia. 77% of the bets and 82% of the money is on the Georgia Bulldogs. Could the public be wrong here? The over-under in this game is 50.5. It's 65% of the handle and 35%. No, it's 35% of the handle and 65% of the bet. No, 35% of the bet, 65% of the handle on the over. That would obviously mean the opposite on the under. If you want the Gators, and this is where the Hard Rock really kills you, and I'm not trying to kill the Hard Rock here today, but I'm just stating facts. Florida is getting plus 240. Georgia is laying 3-1. That is a 60-cent difference on the two sides. That's a big number. That's a big spread between if you say Georgia's going to win without points, you have to lay 3-1. If Florida's going to win without points, you get barely 2.5 to 1. You might want to wait for this game to start and look at the live numbers to see if that changes, to see if the spreads change. And, of course, they will once scoring starts. But I've got to say, and really, this is the biggest thing. On the board, Florida is getting 7% of the money and only 4% of the bets to win the game outright. That's all we really care about, right? I mean, we want the Gators to cover and cash us if we take them. But just to win the game, only 7% of the betting public believes Florida will do that. So the whole world's on Georgia. I think what we'll have is a close game going into the second half, just like last year. I hope that DJ Lagway obviously stays healthy in this game.
Yeah,
I hope they get Dallas. They have to get Dallas Wilson involved and Baugh and everybody else that can make plays for Florida the same way they did against Texas. I think Florida keeps this game inside of that number 7.5, and I can hope they win, but they haven't given me a reason to believe they're going to win except for that Texas game. This Georgia team is a 60-minute team. You have to beat them for the entire 60 minutes to win. Now, this is going to be a tall order for the Gators. What do you have?
Yeah, so I really, really want to bet on the Gators. I like taking a team after they fire their coach. Teams get up for that. I believe that a couple of years ago they had like 3 times as many wins among college teams after they fire their coach, and then it's a rivalry game, so they tend to get up for it. But man, for all the reasons that you said about how the Hard Rock app just isn't giving us enough juice, I just like 7.5 just isn't enough. I can see Georgia I can see Florida basically covering the whole time, and then Georgia just getting a 2-touchdown lead at the very end, sort of thing. So yeah, I think I just got to go with the Bulldogs here, man. I just simply don't think the number is enough.
Tyler Go Gator says, if I help support, can we get longer than 30 minutes? Love you, Tyler. Love you, Tyler. Hell yeah. Just give Freddie a call. We can work on that. Believe me, I don't think Shane would be against it. That's for sure. Alpha Gator USA, as we get ready to wrap up, Alpha Gator says, what does laying the juice mean? That means you're laying more than what you're betting to win the bet. And if you catch juice, that means you're going to win more than what you bet on if you take the dog. Sorry we didn't get to the World Series. Blue Jays up 3-2. Have a great week, everybody. Go Gators. I will see you tomorrow on Matthews in the Morning on PodUp with Matthews in the Morning at 8 o'clock. Have a great weekend. Win some money, and good luck with your bets.